Hey guys, Kevin Cleary here with The View from the Pew, and today I'd like to talk about something that you can do in 1 month that will make a vast difference in your spiritual maturity, maybe in your whole life. Okay, there are not a lot of things that you can do in that short amount of time. You know, if you want to lose weight, if you want to get stronger, if you want to learn something, if you want to get a degree, those are all endeavors that can take years. Okay, but if you want to grow spiritually, yes, that takes years too, but you can make a significant jump, okay, in just 1 month. And let me tell you how to do that. And I know I'm kind of sounding like an infomercial here, but I want to. I'm kind of teasing that theme a little bit. So let me tell you, in 1 month, 30 days, you can read the New Testament. Okay? In fact, there are 2 ways that you can do this. Number 1, and what I would suggest is the easiest. So for probably most of you watching this, just listen to this part. Okay? There are 27 books in the New Testament. All right? 27 books. There are 30 days in a month. All right? I think if you do the math, you'll find out that if you read the whole New Testament by doing 1 book every day, you will be finished before 30 days is over. Fairly straightforward. Now, guys, I know that for some of you that feels like a ton of reading, and especially I'm aware that the first 5 books, right, the 4 Gospels and the book of Acts, are longest. That means, you know, you're going to be doing a lot of the work up front, a lot of the heavy lifting, and that is the reality of it. If you take your New Testament, okay, let me just do a little exercise with you here. Let's see, this is a study Bible, so it kind of messes it up, but here's the book of Matthew. I've got it here now. Hold on. I'm going to get the book of John here in 1 second. There we go. And then there's a bunch of supplemental stuff that doesn't belong. Yeah. Okay, so in the Bible I'm using right now, that I'm holding right now, here is the whole New Testament. Okay? Now, if I put my finger in between the Gospels and the rest of the New Testament, you can see that the Gospels take up the vast majority. All right? I think there's a reason for that, a theological reason for that, but it means that in my challenge that I'm giving you, okay, the heavy lifting, the most reading would be at the beginning, and then it would get easier as you went along until the last day when you read the book of Revelation, which, again, is not the end of the world, 22 chapters. But those are, the Bible chapters are not like book chapters in a novel or something. Usually the whole books of the Bible are like chapters in a novel. So, totally doable. I have read through all of the Gospel. I've read through every book of the Bible in 1 sitting before, and I know that it's not that difficult. All right. The longest time you may need is 40 minutes. All right. Maybe 45 if you're a slower reader. But totally possible is my point. You can easily, just by reading 1 book a day, read through the whole New Testament in 30 days. Now, if that sounds too difficult for you, let me suggest an alternative to that. If you start at Matthew chapter 1 and read 9 chapters every day, okay? 9 chapters every day, you will also finish the New Testament in a month, and you'll finish a little slower than the people who read the 27 books, but you'll still finish in 1 month. All right, let me just advocate for option number 1 because of this. Okay, the New Testament is written as letters. Okay, most of it. And you guys know how you read a letter. You read the whole letter. Right? You don't get a letter from a friend, open it up, read the first page and set it aside. You read the whole letter. All right, and even the longer books that aren't really written as letters, the books of history and like the Gospels and Acts and Revelation, those are not written so much as epistles, but even them, you will find that it's beneficial to read them all in 1 sitting. Revelation especially. If you read it all in 1 sitting, you'll find that there are themes that kind of play off each other through the book. There are cycles, there are patterns within the book that help to make sense out of what the author is revealing. Okay, so pretty well every book of the New Testament you would benefit from reading it all the way through in one sitting. So I'm a fan of option number 1 that I gave you, where you read one book a day. Okay, and that's what I'm going to do over the month of March. We're nearly at the end of February, and so I would challenge you to join me in reading one book a day of the New Testament for the whole month of March. At the end of the month, you'll have read the whole New Testament. Now, if you'd like to try it the other way next time, I know people, by the way, who do this every single day. They read 9 chapters of the New Testament every day, and in doing that, they finish it once a month every month. That's a totally viable option. Now, in addition to that, you don't want to neglect the reading of the Old Testament, and that's why I'm saying, hey, take 1 month to read the New Testament, then go back to your regular, whatever daily Bible reading program you use, okay? So, by the way, if you don't use one, there are tons of them out there, literally tons of them. Just Google, read the Bible through in a year, read the Bible through in a year and a half, or whatever you want to do, whatever pace is comfortable for you. But I'm going to challenge you to read the New Testament, read one book a day for 27 days, and you'll be done. Now, why would I challenge you to do that? What benefit? What will you expect to get out of that? Well, listen, you will gain a better knowledge of who Jesus is. You'll get to look at his whole ministry. The first 4 days may be the most beneficial. You'll read the whole life of Christ, his whole ministry, what his mission was, what his teaching was. And not only will you see what he taught his disciples to do, but you'll see what he did for his disciples in the death, burial, and resurrection of the Son of God. Okay? So you'll get a better handle on who Jesus is, so that when you try to live as an example, as an ambassador for Christ in the world, you know what that means because you know who he was and what he did. Okay, when you ask that special magic question that was on all the bracelets, what would Jesus do? You know because you've read it, okay? You've got a handle on what Jesus would do. Next, you'll gain a new perspective on many of the books of the New Testament. You will not believe when you read the whole book in one sitting how much you get out of it and how much you sit there and go, wow, now I see this book was written so that to be read in one sitting. It was written as a letter to be kind of consumed all at once. You'll see themes that you probably didn't see before. You'll see ideas and admonitions that you didn't grasp before. Okay, so you'll gain a greater depth of understanding of a whole lot of the books of the New Testament. Not only that, you'll gain a better ability to remember passages, verses, concepts that you see in the New Testament. Okay, and here's why. When you read the whole of a book, you tend to break it into sections, more like when you watch a movie. Okay, rather than the way we typically read the Bible, which is a few verses at a time. Now I'm just going to ask you this question. If you see a great movie and you're remembering something, I love The Office, okay? And if I'm going to tell you about a scene in The Office, I'm going to say, hey, remember when, Dwight and Jim had this whole thing go on? Remember that part where Jim said this or that? You remember it in pieces, in sort of whole chunks, okay? And you may find, I certainly find I remember the Bible the better this way. It's easier for me to remember that, hey, in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, there's this discussion of how Paul endures difficult circumstances by looking to the promises of God. All right? So you'll find that you're better able to remember. You'll find that when you go on Sunday or through the week, maybe you watch a video like this and you hear a preacher or a teacher say, hey, remember over in Matthew chapter such and such, or in Jude, or in wherever, and he begins talking about a passage of Scripture, you'll go, oh yeah, I do remember that. I just read it. It's been, there'll be no point in the Bible that you haven't read within a month. Okay, so you'll go, hey, I do remember that, and I kind of remember what's around it, and you'll grasp then better the message of the speaker. In fact, you'll also grasp when he messes it up, all right? And when some guy is totally out to lunch, you'll go, wait a second, I don't think that's exactly how it says that there. Or I don't think that's within the context of the conversation that is going on in the passage of Scripture he's referring to. All right, so you'll have a better understanding and ability to grasp concepts and themes and ideas that are being spoken about. All right, you'll know better what it means to be a disciple. Okay, you will have looked at closely the life and teaching of Jesus, and then you'll have gone on to look in the epistles at the further teaching and expectations of Jesus for his people. All right? And so you will understand better and be more equipped to live your life as a follower of Jesus. Now, I will admit, and I will actually, what I will do is warn you that if you decide to do this, expect to feel uncomfortable, expect to feel challenged, expect to read and say, man, there's something in my life that I'm not doing. All right, there's something that I've really got to change, that I've really got to address. Expect to feel uncomfortable at times, because the Bible has that ability to touch our hearts and change what we think and how we act and how we live. Okay? Let me leave you with a passage of Scripture from 2 Timothy that talks about the value of Scripture. Over in 2 Timothy chapter 3, beginning in verse 16, we're told this: all Scripture is breathed out by God, theopneustos, and is profitable for teaching, for reproof, for correction, for training in righteousness, so that the man of God may be complete, equipped for every good work. Now, if you've known me for very long, you know what I want to say about these verses. The idea here is that Scripture gives you everything that you need to be a follower of Jesus. It gives you all of the tools, all of the resources that you need to be completely equipped, able to know and to do what you need to know and do to be faithful to God and to live effectively and successfully as one of His people in this world. And so for that reason, and for all the reasons I've already given you, I would challenge you to this month, the month of March, or if you watch this 2 years from now, pick the next month that's coming up, the next full month, go ahead and take that time to read the whole New Testament through in 1 month, and you will be blessed for doing it. I hope you'll join me in that, and I'm going to post this on Facebook, and please put in the comments below, hey, I'm going to do it, and here's how my progress is going. All right, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you soon, and that's The View from the Pew.